Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another cast by the Dinosaur. My third cast ever. Getting up there in numbers, becoming pro. I found this one today. It was on the subreddit. This is a Masters game against our Zerg player, starting here in the bottom left, Listerina. And in the top right, we have Dipwood. I didn't read a lot about this game. Simply, there was something about storms, something hydras, etc. We'll have to see what's going to happen. So, before we get started, just want to thank you guys for posting the replays. I really like this higher level stuff, especially Masters. These guys really kind of know what they're doing. You see some good strategy. No offense to some of our, say bronze, silver, even gold players. A lot of times, things in games tend to come down to one key decision. There's one key battle. A lot of time in Masters, you see a little bit more back and forth. It makes it a little bit more fun to cast. So, nothing real spectacular coming up here. Just very basic openings thus far. We'll have to see whether Dipwood is going to go for any kind of Forge Fast Expand. He is putting this pylon in the main base. Not totally indicative that he will not go Forge. Some people put this Forge back here to be a little bit safer from Lings, etc. But he is going up. That's a second Chrono Boost, so he's going to go for a little bit more of an economic open. And there's a gateway. I was wondering if he maybe was going to go Nexus first with that second Chrono Boost. Zerg player waiting at 15, and will we see a 15 pool? No, we're going Hatch first. That's A-okay. The Protoss player with that gateway might be able to put on just a little bit of pressure, but we will have to see. Basically what comes out, how long Listerina will wait for that pool, things of that nature. Protoss is getting pretty reasonable gas timing. We'll have to see if he's going to throw, I'm guessing all three, since he only put up one. On occasion you'll see 2 and 2 for some very precise builds that need just a little bit more gas. So he'll certainly throw up the cybernetics core very quickly here. Get the spawning pool started. Really nothing of any note. I have to say I had a pretty good day today. It's fantasy football season, so I have been heavily investing into reading some things online. Advising friends, family, etc. I do really like fantasy football. It's nothing like StarCraft. I'm not quite sure why I brought it up, but there's just a gap in time here before anything really starts to happen. So I figured I'd enlighten you guys with my deep, deep love for fantasy football. And the NFL is just coming up this year. I'm a Packers fan, so everything looks good there. However, for college football, I'm a Hawkeyes fan, and conversely, nothing looks good there. Your over-under for wins this year is 4.5. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Really bad. Alright, so the Protoss player will expand, so just kind of wanted to be a little bit more safe. I'm guessing this Zealot will go down potentially to Scout, since he does not have any sort of Scout yet. I don't believe our Protoss player has scouted anything. Did see the hatch down here, but nothing else. At least knows where the player is at, and there is that little probe. I was wondering where that would be. 2 queens coming out, 1 at each hatch, get his production up and running. And he's just going to kind of poke with these Lings here. And there's not a whole lot here. Protoss player does have Mothership Core, Mr. Dipwood. And that he'll be A-okay against this, no big deal. These Lings may get in, just poke around, scout, be annoying, but nothing too drastic. Because he'll have to save this probe, he's going to try to focus that down. And smartly runs away, won't lose anything. And here comes a little bit of a gateway wall. And there it is, replaced with the Zealot. He will be airtight if he decides to place the Zealot there. There it is, Dipwood. He almost made me look like a fool. And this probe will be scouted. On the mini-map, you must have seen that, so the Lings will chase after it. He's going to be hiding it, and it's not going down by that Overlord. We'll have to see if he ends up seeing that, but in the meantime, he's getting speed going up. He's got 1 gas up. He has no drones on this extractor. Bad news, especially because he's getting this one up here. He wants more gas. So not quite sure what's going on there. Protoss player still with only 1 gas. Going up now to a good amount of gateways. And there will be a proxy pylon, so obviously the Protoss player wants to put on a little bit of aggression. The third just now going down for Listerina. And another little poke with the Lings, no big deal there. I think Listerina saw that this expansion was late, wanted to get a third, but didn't want to get it too early in case there was some sort of aggression. This probe may get scouted. Oh, and this is what a perfect place for that pylon, just out of the view. Wow. Really fantastic there. Really kind of lucking out. It's not really much strategy as much as it is a little bit of luck, which you do need in StarCraft, just a little bit. And the Zealot and Mothership Core poking out here. He'll certainly lose the Zealot with the Speedlings that are coming out. He doesn't have a lot of them, but once Speed gets there, he'll be fine. Roachwarren just finished up. He is getting 1-1 missile upgrades. And we'll have to see the Protoss player going into a Robo. And we'll have to see, in this proxy pylon, he can see this. So he should be, hopefully those lings are sending down right to it. He can see this proxy pylon. There they go. I was really worried about the pathing. Looks like he's sending all of them over to that. But a big time warp in over here. These Zealots, no +1 or anything, but this third base is going to die. There is no way he can save it with the amount of Zerglings that he has. They're so far away. The Roaches are going to work their way over. Unfortunately, and this is a smart pullback. He knows that there's nothing he can do to save that. It's not really worth going over there, getting out of position. He's going to get some more upgrades. Getting that Roach upgrade, the Guile Reconstruction. And we'll see, this is going to be pretty even here. He can kite very well, the Speedlings and the Roaches. And a smart recall back by the Protoss player. He immediately throws down this third, and I do like that. I'll have to see if anything happens with this fourth. He does have 2 free larvae sitting over there. Always a good thing to have. And this pylon still not been scouted. It's a little bit late down there on the mini-map to update, but has not seen it. And these Zerg run-bys will not do anything. So meanwhile, what has our Zerg seen? He does see the Robo coming out. Doesn't see what kind of unit, however. Not sure if maybe Colossi are in play. Zerg player really has no idea, but that +1 is almost up, which is really going to help against those Zerglings. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have that much production. He's just sitting with 4 gateways. He's got a pretty big economy. Both bases pretty saturated here. So I'd like to see, maybe some more production getting up, something like a Twilight Council so he can work on those +2 upgrades. There's a lot of things. He's got a good amount of spare money up here, especially spare gas. Our Zerg player does have a massive bank, but that is sort of going to happen. He does find himself supply blocked, and he is going into mutas. So this bank is sort of on purpose. He should be able to get about 7 mutas out once that happens. We'll have to see what is this Phoenix going to see. It's going to be very key. If he can take it down before it sees the Spire, be very clutch. And no, he does see the Spire, just barely, but he is going to know that those mutas are on the way. With this force, not a whole lot of anti-air, but 8 mutas, if that's what he's going to go for, and just use 13 drones. Wow, big swell there. That's actually going to be a little bit rough for him. He's not going to have enough, it does not appear, to defend against his attack. All he has is 22 lings and 9 roaches. With some decent force fields, this could do some damage to this third base. He is walking in here, well within view, and pretty good reaction speed. Oh, and good force fields, great force fields, completely zoning that army out. Those are great, and he's just going to try to snipe the hatch. I think he's going to recall again. Oh yes, beautiful play by the Protoss player. This is very much kind of stick and move. I really like that. Great move. This base being down is so devastating for the Zerg's economy, especially because he has his own third up already. Now he's a base up on the Zerg, and as I'm sure you all know, as a Zerg player, you're never comfortable in that situation. These Zealots not going to do anything. And the Zerg player really in a commanding lead here. The Protoss player in a very good lead. Zerg, all he really has is, some Hydras now, but a lot of Roaches. Protoss player has, 2 Immortals that will make quick work of Roaches. And we'll have to see what's coming down, what our Protoss player wants to go into. He's going into Phoenix, and this is a really late transition. Maybe he's going to use these against the Hydras. A lot of times people don't remember that Phoenix are amazing against Hydralisks. If you can get a good group of, say, 10, 12 Phoenix, they can annihilate even a pretty large group of Phoenix. They kill them so quickly. Hydras get that bonus damage, so we'll have to see what's going to happen here. Looks like the Zerg player is trying to poise for an attack. Not a huge fan. He does have 20 links coming up, which will certainly help. Storm, both Templar structures, excuse me, are on the way. Templar Archives and a Dark Shrine. Obviously he wants to do a little bit of harassment and going into Storm. Seeing that Spire, he looks like that's certainly what he's going to do. And I'm really surprised that there are no Mutas yet. Must have abandoned it once he knew that his opponent scouted him. And the Nexus Cannon goes down, and the Zerg player makes a pretty good decision here, going in, drawing this Protoss player out. He gets a nice concave. Unfortunately, all these Hydras are in the front. The Roaches are stuck at the top. That's never a good thing for the Zerg player. He is pushing through a little bit. These Immortals are a little bit exposed. It looks like he will push the Zerg player back just a little bit. He should get in, see if he can snipe one of those Immortals who lost no HP. That's a pretty good attack. A little bit of a run by here. Failed for the Protoss player. The Zealots are in a pretty good position, so they'll trade somewhat efficiently, but at this point, with a Protoss bank this big, Zealots mean absolutely nothing. And I would love to see a really big Muta switch here. He only has three Phoenix, excuse me. It looks like he is getting a couple more, but if he attacks soon, he could get in here before Storm gets done. And, you know, he could really do a lot. The economy, he does have cannons up, I guess. That's... I guess I'm not quite sure. Now with these Archons here, I guess that would be a bad idea. But I would have liked to see him go into it just a little bit earlier. Sometimes these Stalker and this kind of sentries can't do a whole lot. And this is going to be rough for the Zerg player, it appears. He is pushing through. Oh, good targeting on that Immortal, but yeah, he is going to get pretty crushed here. Very inefficient trade. With those Archons in there, they do make such quick work of the Roaches and the Hydras. They do that bonus damage. So they do bonus damage to basically any Zerg unit because it is against biological. And I love this little cheeky move here. Just burrowing these Zerglings. It's very annoying. He eventually finds them, but you know, it just takes a little APM. You know, where's my observer? Can I get it over there? My army's gonna be stuck. Just a good overall move. And the Sling does scout both of these proxy pylons and burrows, excuse me, over here at the 4th. This is a brilliant move. He knows these two pylons are going down. Therefore, he knows that he's going to want to put a base up over here. And this little Zergling is going to deny this. Not for very long, because his army happens to be right here. But it's a very nice little move, and it does delay your opponent, throw him off a little bit. We'll see how long it takes him to react. He's probably not going to know for a good amount of time. The Dark Templar run by is going to snipe this base for sure. There are a couple Mutas coming out, but now it seems way too late. Not quite sure why he's going into Muta. He just has one. It's fine, and that Zergling was cleaned up over here. But he sniped this 3rd hatch again. The Zerg player now going into a 4th. Needs to replace this one. He really needs a bigger economy at this point. You know, he just can't really sustain what he's trying to go for. He doesn't have the tech that he needs. He simply struck his highest tech unit is either a Hydra or, you know, Mutalisk, and he's not utilizing the Mutalisk, having one, which sadly is just not going to do much. And it seems like he's got too many Hydras here. Hydras have great DPS, but they just don't have the damage, especially with Storm here. As soon as Storm is ready, which it is now, Hydralisks, if they get hit by a Storm, go down to 1 HP, so it almost entirely kills them. Oh, and he's going to have a great position here. Where are the Storms? There's a nice one. Pretty good one to go down. A decent pullback. That's a money Storm. Really throwing out. Oh, he's got him backed into a corner here. If he had just one more Storm, the High Templars are cleaned up. He is pushing him back. Not quite sure. He shouldn't waste time with things like this gateway. This gateway means nothing to him. If he really wants to take out something, he should come over to one of the bases. Just because the Protoss army over here, I mean, if you go in here, you're going to get trapped back behind. And now 2 Dark Templar are going to go to work. It'd be great if he could snipe this hatch, but at what cost? He's really going to get stuck over here. Those High Templar are doing so much damage. Excuse me, Dark Templar, they're absolutely murdering the Hydras. And I don't like this decision to go in here either. He's going to run by these cannons, and our Zerg player really in a lot of trouble, trading inefficiently pretty much this whole game. Look at the units lost. Decent number of more resources lost for the Zerg player. I do believe the Protoss player maybe has had a little bit more. It seems like it should be more in the Protoss' favor, in all honesty, with the way that these have kind of been trading back and forth, but a couple costly units, just like those High Templars, did go down. So we'll have to see. On the production tab, Just 8 more Lings is all, and this is going to be a pretty good fight. These High Templar not quite ready for Storm, and he's really banking on those. Got no other splash damage. And we'll have to see what happens here. I really don't know what the Zerg player is going to do. He's kind of backing himself into a corner. He's going to have to run through these Storms. The Storms are ready and they go down. The first one is fantastic. Really bruising all those units, and he should not go in again. He's got a decent split here, but, oh, great. Kind of a missed Storm there, but good baiting. He needs to bait out these Storms if he has any hope to attack. I do not like this decision at all. He may get this hatch, but he is completely boxing himself in. Where's he going to run? Either through this choke point or up the ramp, and Storms are going to obliterate him. And there goes one Storm. It's good. Oh, and tons of Storms absolutely nuking his army. Now some Zerglings come in from the back, which is pretty good, and he did have a substantially larger army. Crossfire was just a little bit light, and these units are all so damaged. And again, these Dark Templar are here to save the day. He can't bring in any sort of, observing Overlord, an Overseer, you might want to call that. These Phoenix will take it down. They don't have anything else to target in the group. This is a little bit back and forth. I'm not quite sure who I give the lead to. I'd say probably the Protoss player, although I would really like some other tech to go up. You know, he's been relying on these for a little bit too long, in my opinion. He's got no other upgrades other than +2 attack. His Forge went down, so he will have to wait if he wants to go into that. He is moving into Void Rays. There's a decent dedication to Hydralisk by our Zerg player, so not quite sure how effective those Void Rays are going to be. An attempted run by here, no such luck. And he does see the pylon going down here. And this Zergling maybe will see this and then possibly go back to this watchtower. We'll have to see. And this run by, very well cleaned up. Those Overseers are there. See if he tries to save this pylon with a warp in. Does not appear so. He does start +3 finally. The Zerg player is just on 1-0 for Lings and 1-2 for Roaches and those Hydras. And we'll have to see, does he spot this base? At this point he has no suspicion that anything is there, and he is just going to miss it. Very unfortunate. He needs to know that that base is going up. His army's probably going to have to stay in a more central location, so run-bys at this base can be very effective. We'll just have to see. The Zerg player, no idea that that base is there. He's sending, looks like there's one Zergling up to check around in this area, but he will not find anything. And the problem for our Protoss player, where are the Colossi? He should probably at this point build another Robo, pump out some Colossi. Your opponent has shown that, yes, he does have a Spire, but he doesn't have any sort of Corruptors on the field. There's been nothing really to tip you off as to why Colossi wouldn't be effective. And Colossi, good Colossi switch right now. I mean, with all these Roaches, Ling, Hydra, I mean, that obliterates this army. Combined with Storm, it will be good night, Irene. However, he seems to have no real dedication to going into Colossi. He's going to continue to pump out Immortals instead, and is transitioning a little bit into Sky Toss, is pumping out Void Rays one at a time. Meanwhile, our Zerg player finally added some Infestors. Those will help him out greatly, really hold this army in place. Now, a key thing is if he can possibly fungal, a good group of those High Templar. That is one problem that Dipwood has had this game, is he does keep them in a very tight clump. In every engagement thus far, they've been very tight together. One fungal could get all of those. And another attempted run-by with Dark Templar denied. Protoss player doing a pretty good job with these run-bys. Another one's going to come over here. Really more annoying than anything else. More Roaches coming out. Roaches are just not the best late game unit, especially with so many Void Rays and Immortals in the mix. These Archons are going to do extra damage as well. I mean, the Roaches just seem like a not very good idea. And here he does have a Spore Crawler that's going to do work. He's got 4 spines up. So this could be good if he comes in at a correct angle. And can he get a fungal off on those High Templar? There go the Storms. Oh, and he does get them. He gets them, but can he chain fungal them? And he ate every single one of those Storms. Continuing to eat them. This is not worth it for the Zerg player. Finally, he gets most of those High Templar, but what does he have left? Protoss player still has a decent amount of units. Now he's 18 Hydras on the way. Hydras seem to be an okay option, but I would really like to see some Corruptors here because of the dedication to the air army, and he doesn't have any anti-air left besides just this Archon. This base will go down. Now, most of these drones are probably going to go down. You can see them disappear here on the bottom tab. And that is just simply it. You know, I think our Zerg player really threw that away, and this last engagement, he just sat there and ate storms. In that case, you have to kind of lead almost a little bit with those infestors, you know, maybe try to fungal the front part of his army. The fungal can do so much damage before you engage. If you simply go in, I'm actually going to rewind. I'm not sure if you're supposed to do this in a cast, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's my cast and I can party if I want to. But if we go back here, right here, I would love these infestors. If he can hit some fungals anywhere in this area and then pull this army back. There's no reason. Let the fungals do damage before you go in. Let them bruise the army. This base at this point is going to be pretty tough to hold, but instead he comes in, and this should be fungaling right now. He's got everything on the same hotkey. He's trying to move some things around. He's trying to pull the infestors up, but he needs to pull that. He needs to throw a fungal right now, but instead these storms go down, and now the fungals are great, but the bad news is all of his army is getting stormed, and you're going to watch. He's going to pull this army into the storm, including these very frail infestors. Look at that. 100% coverage and 100% coverage. The Protoss player could not get a better storm if he tried. And now all these High Templar, all of them are going to be fungal. They're stuck in place. They can't go anywhere, so they can only storm to about this area here. But what does the Zerg player do? He's going to pull more of his forces into these storms. Again, 100% coverage. These cannot move. He needs to throw one more fungal there, but instead he just continues to go in the arc, and he's got a decent arc, not the greatest, but look at this. Every single unit pretty much right now is being stormed. And he's just throwing these away because these High Templar are all going to die because of the fungals, but he just continues. And then all he's got left are these very weak infestors that go down immediately. Really, this was thrown away by our Zerg player. You know, the Protoss player never had Colossi. Dipwood never made that transition, which would have been absolutely fantastic, especially with so many infestors on the field. Getting extended thermal lance really can do a number on him. And the Zerg player, these infestors were late. He never got some corruptors once he saw that the Protoss player was going into air. You know, I really think he could have played this a little bit better. He kind of fell behind on upgrades as well. He was getting +2 at the end. The Protoss player already had +3 against pretty much just one armor, so basically a 2 upgrade advantage there. You know, I think our Zerg player had a good position. He definitely had a chance to win, but he just could not capitalize in the end. He just didn't have what he needed. A little bit of an over-reliance, I'd say, on Hydras. Hydras do a ton of DPS, but against things like Storm, if you don't have roaches to soak up the Storm, they just simply cannot do what they need to. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that was the Danisaur bringing you the third cast for the r CastIt subreddit. So I will hopefully bring more, continue to post games at these high level. This was a pretty fun one. There's a little bit of mistakes, but, you know, those are going to happen in every game. If only we could all play perfect StarCraft games. So, this is the Danisaur wishing you a good night.